Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the heart of the music industry to uncover something we've all experienced, but probably rarely really understand. We're talking about the hidden mechanics and the hard data science behind pop culture successes and those massive, massive musical failures. We're going to look at the numbers, the sociology, and the academic research that basically separate the absolute legends from the folks who just fade into obscurity. So, Eiffel 65, Gaudia, and Lou Bega, what do they all have in common? You might immediately look at these nostalgic artists and think, well, obviously, they're all one-hit wonders. And, you'd be right. But we so often treat one-hit wonders as just punchlines, right? Like fleeting jokes or cautionary tales of burning out way too fast. Well, today, we are going to completely shatter that illusion. $12.6 million. Now, what's really interesting about this number is the sheer scale. That's the estimated Spotify streaming revenue for Gaucher's single track, Somebody That I Used to Know. Just one song, generating over 2.17 billion streams. A single massive hit is the staggering financial reality that can literally set an artist up for life. I mean, these aren't just happy accidents. They are absolute economic juggernauts. To understand exactly how this happens, here is our roadmap for today. 1. The anatomy of a one-hit wonder. 2. The global hit machine. 3. The sociology of the flop. And 4. The science of sustained success. Let's get into it. Section 1. Anatomy of a one-hit wonder. The staggering numbers behind a single, massive track. It's time to see exactly how these earworms become multi-million-dollar streaming monsters. Take Eiffel 65's late 90s hit Blue. It's racked up 719 million Spotify streams and over 348 million YouTube views. But Lou Bega's Mambo No. 5? That takes it to an entirely different stratosphere with 777 million streams. To put that mind-blowing scale into perspective for you, if you hit play right now, that single track could play back-to-back for 5,000 continuous years without repeating a single listen. No way, right? It's truly awe-inspiring data that proves a one-hit wonder is a monumental cultural event. And this scale builds dramatically across eras. If we compare the success of one-hit wonders by decade, we see that the streaming era of the 2010s absolutely supercharged these tracks. A single hit from the 2010s averages over 623 million streams each. So while the 90s brings a massive nostalgia factor and the 2000s dominates in YouTube video views, the 2010s really transformed the one-hit wonder into a perpetual digital cash machine. Section 2. The global hit machine, breaking the US and UK industry monopoly. Okay, let's dive into this. You might naturally assume that because the US and the UK largely dictate modern pop culture, all these massive hits must originate there, right? But actually, look at these real-world examples that totally broke right through that monopoly. We've got Nana's 99 Luftballons originating from Germany in 1983. We have Sinead O'Connor's absolutely iconic Nothing Compares to You out of Ireland in 1990. Then there's the unforgettable Steal My Sunshine by Len from Canada. And of course, the viral sensation Macarena by Los Del Rio from Spain. A catchy hook completely transcends borders, allowing artists from way outside the dominant markets to suddenly dominate the global charts. Section 3. The sociology of the flop. What happens when the music stops? Okay, so we've seen the dizzying highs of streaming payouts, but as they say, what goes up must come down. It's time to execute a bit of a narrative whiplash here. Just picture the visceral imagery of a flop. We're talking about 3/4 empty concert halls where the silence is broken only by the screech of microphone feedback. We're talking about outmoded record jackets, the total desertion of fans, and yes, historically, even rotten fruit pelted right at the stage. A flop is a crushing commercial letdown. It isn't just a tiny bump in the road. It can be a career-ending disaster that completely taints the life and legacy of a song. The language we use to describe this is actually super fascinating. Let's look at the word fiasco. It originally comes from Italian theater. The writer Stendhal famously used it with a touch of tasteful humor to refer to, well, premature ejaculation. But conceptually, it means the inability to control desire or master anticipation, resulting in a premature failure. Honestly, it's the perfect definition for a musical flop. It's a total mismatch between the massive collective expectation built up by the industry and the actual real-world performance of the artist. But why do flops actually happen? Is it really just bad luck? Well, the academic journal Transposition analyzed the mechanics of a musical flop, and they introduced a really vital concept: cultural intermediaries. These are the behind-the-scenes power players, the producers, the concert promoters, the record labels, and the critics.
These are the gatekeepers who dictate risk, control exposure, and ultimately manufacture the very environment where a massive failure can occur. The journal captures this dynamic perfectly. They say, understanding the social conditions of possibility of flop first involves clarifying the complex and central roles played by cultural intermediaries. And this brilliantly illustrates that flops are rarely just an accident of fate. Very often, a flop is actually a top-down tactical error. It's a massive miscalculation by the industry's network of gatekeepers who pumped up the anticipation way too high, but completely misjudged the actual public response. Section 4. The Science of Sustained Success, the Stanford Graduate School of Business Study. So, if one-hit wonders strike gold exactly once and flops crash and burn immediately, how does anyone actually survive in this business? Well, Stanford researcher Justin Berg answered this by analyzing an astonishing dataset of over 3 million songs released between 1959 and 2010. He looked at the catalogs of artists at the exact moment they scored their very first hit. And he found two absolutely crucial metrics that predicted their future survival. The first is novelty, basically how sonically distinct an artist's portfolio is compared to the other hits playing on the radio at that time. The second is variety, how internally diverse the artist's own catalog of songs is. Having high novelty and high variety early on activates what Berg calls path dependency mechanisms. First up, we have expectations. If your early catalog is kind of weird and diverse, it broadens the boundaries of what fans and industry gatekeepers will accept from you in the future. Second is learning. If you experiment with different sounds early on, you build the creative tools you need to adapt to incredibly fast-changing pop trends. If you don't build that diverse foundation early, you simply won't survive the industry's notoriously high churn rate. Now, this Stanford data directly mirrors sociological research on media personas from the Brill text. Sustained hitmakers essentially must perform the ultimate celebrity balancing act. They have to constantly balance cultural ordinariness, meaning being relatable and capturing the current zeitgeist, with cultural extraordinariness, intentionally breaking those same values to remain entirely unique. They have to fit in just enough to be liked, but stand out enough to maintain mass media attention. It's a really tough tightrope to walk. But all of this leads us to a fascinating and frankly kind of terrifying conclusion: the ultimate paradox. You see, the Stanford study found that while having a highly novel portfolio basically guarantees your long-term survival once you get famous, building that novel portfolio in the first place makes it statistically far less likely that you will ever have a hit song to begin with. So if you maximize your novelty to ensure long-term success, you simultaneously increase your odds of having zero hits at all. It is the ultimate risk in the entertainment business. To become a legend, you literally have to risk total failure. And that is definitely something to think about the next time you find yourself tapping your foot to a one-hit wonder. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.